Excuse me, did you forget something? Oh, come on.
You thought Rocky IV was just another 80s boxing movie, but these 10 insane facts will completely change how you see it. Fact 1. During filming, Sylvester Stallone told Dolph Lundgren to hit him for real. Lundgren didn't hold back. He punched Stallone in the chest so hard it nearly killed him. The impact caused Stallone's heart to slam against his breastbone. He was flown to the ICU where doctors thought he'd been in a car crash. They found swelling around his heart, a condition called pericardial effusion. Stallone spent 8 days in intensive care. Filming was halted immediately. That hit was so powerful, it made it into the final cut of the movie. Stallone insisted on keeping it in. He said it made the fight feel real, because it was. Lundgren was shaken by the incident and feared he'd ruined the film. But the two eventually patched things up. Stallone later called it the hardest he'd ever been hit on camera. That's not acting, that's impact. No stunt double, no special effects, just raw power. The studio was horrified, but Stallone never backed down. He believed the pain served the story. That one punch became Hollywood legend. It raised the stakes on set, and it proved that Stallone was willing to risk everything for authenticity, even his own life. Now that's commitment. Fact 2.
Watch this. What is this?
Your present.
Paulie's robot wasn't a joke. It was a real robot named Seiko. It was created by engineer Robert Dornick, and it was originally designed to help children with autism. Seiko used voice synthesizers and was capable of simple interaction. Stallone saw it at a demonstration and was fascinated. He decided to write it into the film himself. It wasn't a studio idea. It came from his heart. Stallone's own son was autistic. He believed technology like this could help bridge communication gaps. By including the robot, he was raising awareness. Seiko was the actual robot on set, operated live. No suit, no puppeteer, just engineering. It had already appeared on TV shows and was considered high-tech at the time. Many thought it was just a weird subplot, but behind the scenes it meant a lot more. Stallone later said the robot was deeply personal, and it wasn't just a gimmick, it had a purpose. Seiko would later be inducted into the Robot Hall of Fame. It wasn't science fiction, it was science reality, and it came from a place of love. Fact 3.
You've written several scripts before, but was there any special reason for you to write Rocky?
So I took the opportunity to write this particular film, of course, being somewhat selfish because I had myself in mind, but that was the main motivation.
Stallone didn't just star in Rocky IV. He wrote it, directed it, and edited it. He had full creative control. The first cut of the film was over 2.5 hours long, but he trimmed it down to just 91 minutes. He worked day and night in the editing suite. He even slept on the floor to meet deadlines. Every montage, every music cue, every slow-motion shot was his decision. He personally chose tracks like Burning Heart and No Easy Way Out. Stallone believed music could deliver more emotion than dialogue, so he leaned into it hard. The result? A movie that felt like a high-intensity music video. Critics weren't sure what to make of it, but audiences loved it. It became the highest-grossing sports movie of all time until The Blind Side decades later. Stallone poured everything into it. No detail was too small. No decision was too big. He didn't just make a sequel, he made a statement. And it was one loud, fast, unapologetic punch to the face. Fact 4.
But now, you're the one. You're the one that's gonna keep his spirit alive. You're the one.
You might have thought Rocky trained in the Soviet Union, but the entire snowy montage was filmed in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. That's right, not Russia. The cold, real. The snow, real. The pain, definitely real. They built a cabin just for the shoot, and Stallone performed every stunt himself. He pulled sleds through snowbanks. He chopped wood in sub-zero temperatures. He sprinted uphill through knee-deep powder. And yes, that mountain he climbs, that's a real peak. Stallone climbed it himself, no green screen. The crew battled freezing cameras and slippery terrain. Locals came out just to watch him suffer, and every drop of sweat you see on screen, earned, Stallone wanted to mirror Drago's high-tech gym with raw nature. And it worked. You can feel the contrast. It wasn't the USSR, but it sure felt like war. Fact 5. James Brown's performance of Living in America during Apollo Creed's entrance is unforgettable. But what makes it even more incredible is that Brown actually sang live on set. He wasn't lip-syncing to a pre-recorded track like most musical scenes in movies. Brown insisted on doing it live to capture the real energy of the moment. And it worked. His vocals and stage presence lit up the arena. The crew mic'd the stage and captured both audio and crowd reactions in real time. It was an unusual choice for a film production, but Stallone wanted the authenticity and electricity that only James Brown could deliver. Brown rehearsed the number several times with the dancers and lighting crew. He even made on-the-fly changes to his timing based on audience energy. The result was a show-stopping performance that felt like a real concert. Brown's charisma was so powerful, it nearly upstaged the fight itself. The stage was rigged with custom lighting, hydraulic lifts, and pyrotechnics. And Brown didn't miss a beat. He had just come off a successful tour and brought that momentum straight to set. Stallone later said Brown's live performance was like filming a nuclear explosion. The song went on to chart on the Billboard Hot 100. It became one of the most iconic musical moments in film history. To this day, few people realize it wasn't dubbed or faked. What you hear is pure, unfiltered soul, no retakes, no studio polish, just James Brown doing what he did best. Fact 6. When Ivan Drago trains in a sleek, high-tech facility, he looks like a machine himself. But the gym equipment you see in the film, it was built entirely for the movie. Most of it didn't exist in real gyms at the time. The production team designed futuristic machines from scratch to emphasize the East versus West contrast. Some machines had moving LED displays and fake digital diagnostics. Others were rigged with hydraulics to simulate resistance training. Dolph Lundgren actually used the equipment during shooting, but some of it wasn't functional. It just had to look impressive on screen. They even constructed custom steroid injection rigs to hint at Drago's enhancement. Though never explicitly stated, the film implies Drago is chemically altered. The gym was built in a soundstage in Los Angeles and took over 2 months to complete. Stallone was heavily involved in the design of each machine. He wanted everything to look clean, cold, and oppressive. In contrast, Rocky's equipment was old, wooden, and manual. The symbolic difference was clear. One man is built by nature, the other by science. The visual storytelling in the gym scenes told us everything without a word of dialogue. Stallone believed this contrast was essential to the Cold War metaphor. The audience didn't need a speech. They just needed to see the difference. And the machines did the talking. Even today, Drago's training montage looks futuristic. That's because it was. Fact 7. Dolph Lundgren didn't just look intimidating, he was brilliant in real life. Before acting, he earned a master's degree in chemical engineering. He studied at the Royal Institute of Technology in Sweden. Then he received a Fulbright scholarship to MIT in the United States. Yes, MIT. He speaks multiple languages and has a reported IQ of over 160. Lundgren was discovered while working as a bodyguard for Grace Jones. They were dating at the time, and she encouraged him to pursue modeling and acting. He was initially hired on Rocky IV as a background extra. But once Stallone saw his physique and charisma, he was offered the role of Ivan Drago. Lundgren beat out thousands of candidates for the part. He trained extensively to prepare for the physical demands. Despite his imposing on-screen presence, he was known to be soft-spoken and humble on set. Cast and crew were surprised by how intellectual he was. Stallone later said Lundgren was the most physically perfect man I've ever seen. But he was more than a body, he was a brain. The casting of Lundgren added depth to the role. Because behind the cold exterior was a complex person, it changed how villains were portrayed in action films. Smart, quiet, and lethal. That was Drago. and it came from Dolph. Fact 8.
Rocky Balboa is in serious trouble.
The climactic fight between Rocky and Drago wasn't just staged, it was shot like a real championship bout. Stallone wanted it to feel authentic, so he hired real boxing referees to oversee the choreography. The camera operators studied professional fight footage to mimic real sports broadcasts. They used handheld cameras, low-angle shots, and multiple ringside positions. The ring was built to regulation size. Stallone and Lundgren trained for weeks just to get the timing of each round right. The punches weren't always fake. Some of them connected, especially during body shots. There was a live audience for many of the takes to generate energy. Extras were coached to react like real spectators at a Soviet-American title match. The sweat flying off faces, sprayed with glycerin, filmed in slow motion. The blood, carefully applied between takes, but based on realistic injury patterns. The choreography was mapped out like a dance, but with enough improvisation to keep it tense. Stallone was heavily influenced by Muhammad Ali's fights with George Foreman and Joe Frazier. You can see echoes of real boxing history in the pacing and strategy of the final rounds. Each round was filmed multiple times from different angles to create that dynamic rhythm. Stallone wanted the fight to be both brutal and cinematic. He wanted viewers to feel every hit, every breath, every comeback. Even the bell sounds were sampled from real prize fights. The final punch that knocks out Drago, timed to music and editing for maximum drama. In many ways, it's not just a movie fight, it's a tribute to boxing itself. And that's what makes it unforgettable. Fact 9. Rocky IV wasn't just a boxing film, it was a cultural weapon during the Cold War. Released in 1985 at the height of US-Soviet tensions, the movie struck a nerve worldwide. American audiences saw it as a patriotic underdog story, but in the Soviet bloc, it was viewed as bold propaganda. The character of Ivan Drago was seen as a symbol of Soviet excess, science, and cold ambition. Rocky, by contrast, represented heart, faith, and raw human grit. The final scene, where Rocky gives a speech about unity and change, resonated beyond the screen. Ronald Reagan even praised the film for its themes of perseverance and freedom. Some reports claim it was screened in U.S. embassies overseas as soft diplomacy. In Italy and France, the movie drew controversy for its political overtones. In Eastern Europe, pirated VHS copies spread rapidly. In Russia, the film was not officially released until the 1990s. When it did finally air, many Russians admitted they had secretly watched it years earlier. Stallone later said he never intended it to be political, but he acknowledged that Rocky IV captured the spirit of its time. The Iron Curtain was cracking, and the movie tapped into that energy. Its impact was global, despite its fictional setting. Rocky and Drago became avatars for real-world ideologies, and somehow a boxing movie helped change how people thought about East versus West. That's the power of story, and that's why Rocky IV is more than entertainment, it's history. Fact 10. In 2021, Sylvester Stallone released Rocky IV, Rocky vs. Drago, the ultimate director's cut. It wasn't just a re-edit, it was a full reimagining of the movie. Stallone removed over 40 minutes of footage and added 42 minutes of new material. Gone was Paulie's robot, completely cut from the new version. He toned down the over-the-top montages and added more emotional scenes. The fight was recut to be more grounded and less flashy. Apollo's death scene was expanded, making it even more tragic. Drago's character was given more depth and subtlety. The director's cut focused more on Cold War psychology than spectacle. Stallone said he wanted to make the film more dramatic and less like a music video. He spent over a year editing during the COVID-19 lockdowns. It premiered at select theaters before hitting streaming platforms. Fans and critics were divided. Some missed the original style, others praised the added substance. But Stallone considered it a necessary personal revision. He said it was the film he wished he had made back in 1985. The new version even used alternate takes and camera angles never seen before. It was a chance to revisit the past through a modern lens, and to explore Rocky's story with more emotional weight. It shows how a film, even a beloved one, can evolve with time. Rocky might have fought for the USSR, but Stallone was fighting for his own creative legacy. And with the director's cut, he got to deliver one last punch.